Hello everyone, welcome to this video. Today I want to share with you a tutorial for making a pendant necklace. I've made a few of these already. The first one was moss agate, the second one is a smoky quartz necklace. I also made one with a bloodstone and red thread. And I just started to experiment with making ones with little bits of seashell that I have around. So I'm excited to show you the process of making the net that goes around the stone and then braiding the cord. These necklaces just tie, so their length can be adjusted. To get started, I'm going to pick what stone I want to use as the pendant. I have a little collection of rocks and shells. Really anything goes. The shape is not too important, but it's more like what my preference is for right now. I think this is red jasper, and this one was speaking to me. The shape is a good example compared to the necklaces I've already done. The smaller stones I decided to eliminate as options. I think I'm going to show you just two different variations for a necklace. So I'm going to also do this shell, which is kind of unusual. There's more thread on this one than there is on this one. So it's a bit of a different look and a little bit more secure to have more thread, but you see the stone more starting with less. Do I want this to be pointing this way or this way? I think that seems right. Now I have to pick what color thread I want to use. I decided to go with this soft orange shade of embroidery floss, and now I'm going to measure out the length. I sort of just pull my arm span length. I measured that so that I could let you know how long that was. This is about 54 inches long, and I'm going to cut two more the same length. Okay, I have 3 strands of embroidery floss, all measuring 54 inches. I'm going to fold this in half. And I'm going to make a knot right at the center. Okay, the knot, that's going to be at the bottom of the necklace. This is going to go here, but before I start working with the stone, I'm going to start tying these strings together. First, I'm going to tie one loop and then one more to make it a proper knot. Like so. I'm going to do the same thing with these 2 threads and with these 2 threads. You just have to be careful not to get the threads tangled. They are kind of long. Here's what that looks like. This is going to go a little something like this. But again, it's easier to work without the stone to start. So now I'm going to take these 2 threads and tie them together. So I'm creating a little bit of a net. I'm going to tie these 2 threads together. This is kind of like a cross between friendship bracelets and macrame. Okay, and then the last 2 threads are these 2. So you can see it's beginning to become somewhat of a net. The stone is going to be caught by these little knots. And at this point, I do like to hold the stone in my hand as I'm working so that I can shape the threads to fit it correctly so that it's the right size. I'm going to try to secure all of these threads with this finger, and then at the same time, tie these two together. Again, in a little double knot. This time, I'm going to leave a little bit more space in the opening. Okay, so now I'm turning the stone and tying knots with the threads next to that little section that I just did, and I'll do that one more time with the remainder 2 threads. I'm going to keep doing this process where I'll tie the edge strings from the knot together so they create these little diamond shapes that catch the rock. It's a bit slippery, kind of takes getting used to. Yes, I'm close enough to the edge of the stone that I can just tie these together. I'm going to make a knot with all of these. I'm going to try my best to keep it tight near the top of the stone. That's how I secure the stone. It feels pretty secure. It is a little bit more secure to have one extra strand of thread, but I like the look of the open spaces, so you really get to see the red jasper in here. So now I'm going to braid the 3 strands of embroidery floss together. So I'm going to separate these into 3 strands and 3 strands. I just kind of hold the rock over my finger and then I start braiding, and it's pretty easy. You just put the outside thread into the center and then take turns from the left and the right side. There are other cool ways to make the cording for this, different techniques that I've learned, I guess, from doing friendship bracelets growing up, but I like how the braid looks the best. Once the string is quite long, I'm just gonna check that this is around the same size as this one because I really like the length of the red necklace. It's a little longer, but that's okay. So now that it's the length I want it, I'm going to knot the end. And cut it. This is probably like 3/4 of an inch or something. And I'm going to do the same thing on this side. Every so often I have to comb my fingers through the threads to make sure they're not tangling, like so. Now that the braids are both the same length, I'm going to knot this one off and cut this one as well. So here's how this one came out. I really like this color combination. I thought I would also show you how I would make a little net for something that's this shape, like a seashell shape, and it's a bit irregular, flat and wide. And because it's larger, I'm going to cut 4 strands of embroidery floss, all 54 inches long. I'm actually very much into chartreuse right now. Okay, I have 4 strands of this chartreuse. I'm going to fold it in half again and make a knot again. It's essentially the same concept as the first necklace. The shaping is just going to be a little bit different. Okay, for this necklace, I'm going to try to speed around, show you how I did this, since it's essentially the same thing as the first one, just with one extra string. So instead of a bit of a triangular shape netting, this is going to take more of a cross or a square shape. Okay, so I have this little cross or like a X or a flower, whatever. Let's see how this looks. Even though I just started with this project, I am going to hold the seashell underneath while I'm working, just because the shape is so strange. I really want to fit the threads around it. So it's going to be a little tricky and awkward, but I will try my best to make this make sense, at least visually. Keeping it tight around the edges is important so that the shell is nice and secure. So I'm going to keep doing this. My cat just decided to sit on all of these strings. Drew. I need to take a break and make dinner. I've gotten to the point where I've made enough net around the shell that I can tie it off. Again, I'm just going to tie that in a knot and try to be as close to the shell as possible with the threads. And then I'm going to divide the threads in half for the 2 strands of the cording. But this time there's going to be 4 strands per side. So now for the braiding process, I'm still going to braid it as if there's 3 strands of thread, but one of the strands is going to have 2 strands of embroidery floss instead of the single one. It's going to look exactly like the 3-strand braid, just ever so slightly thicker. And the red jasper. Do they go together? I hope you liked this tutorial video. I hope that it made sense. Let me know if you have any questions or if I need to clarify anything. As I was making the video, I realized it was more difficult than I thought to explain what I was doing, because as you're knotting the threads, it all kind of looks like an indiscernible tangle of threads, and I hope that it made sense when I was going through the process. So that's that. I think I might put some of these in my Etsy because I don't need to have like 6 necklaces. Other than that, I want to say thank you to everyone who has been leaving really sweet comments about my cat Uzi, and also just great recommendations, because I feel like I got a lot of really sweet comments the past couple of videos that I made, and I really appreciate it. Like, it does help me a lot, and it helps like uplift me just knowing that other people have gone through what I'm going through, or even just like sending love to my cat. It's been hard, and the little things really do make a difference. Yeah, we're still kind of going through it, but you know, it's a day by day kind of thing that we're monitoring how he's doing. But yeah, I just wanted to say I really appreciate it. Everyone's super sweet, and it makes me feel really grateful to, I guess, have this community. And besides that, I have a new video on my Patreon and Substack this week. I just put it up yesterday. It is a big thrift flip video with repurposing t-shirts, so check that out if you're interested. It is, I think, like $5 on Patreon and $6 to be a subscriber monthly on Substack. I hope you have a good rest of your week, and I will be back soon. Bye everyone.